U.S. Navy's at the helm. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is U.S. Navy's at the helm. How do you read me?
At the helm, welcome aboard to the International Space Station. I have you loud and clear.
So today I'm going to be speaking with Captain Chris Cassidy. He's actually up in space right now. He spent 11 years as a Navy SEAL. We're about to chat with Houston. They're going to call in about an hour early, and then we're going to wait for Captain Chris Cassidy to get online. We're just going to chat. We're going to chat for about 20 minutes. We're going to talk about stuff. Welcome to the video. If you're new here, I'm Austen Alexander. If you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe and hit a like on the video because it really helps others see the video. Now, let's get into it. Hey, good morning, Captain.
Good morning. How you doing there, Austin?
I'm good.
Sir, I want to say it's an honor to speak with you this morning.
Glad to be with anyone from the Navy today. It's a fine Navy day on the ground as it is here in orbit.
Yes, sir. That's good to hear. So, just a brief background for the audience, because the audience will be seeing you through video,
and they will be seeing me through video when it's produced.
A little background about you. You spent 11 years as a member of the U.S. Navy SEAL team, and in 2004 you were selected as a NASA
astronaut, and you're currently serving as commander aboard the International Space Station. So that's a pretty aggressive switch. Did you always want to be
an astronaut, or did you always want to be a Navy SEAL? How did that switch come to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I entered the Naval Academy without any knowledge really about SEAL teams or astronaut, and during my 4 years in Annapolis is when I learned about the SEALs and how do you get there and what does BUDS mean and all of that. And it wasn't until I was several years into my SEAL career
where I did the same with
an astronaut selection, and I learned about the process, and I met a few other astronauts, one in particular, Bill Shepard, who was the commander of the space station on Expedition 1. And so that's kind of how
I got a little bit interested. I really loved my job in the SEAL teams, but it was
I realized, hey, it'd be kind of cool to try. Why not try to become an astronaut? If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I continue my job in the SEAL community. So that's as simple as an answer as I can give you, because it was pretty simple.
So it was just kind of like the flip of a switch. You saw it and you're like, oh, well, that would be kind of cool, and you just kind of went for it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's so many cool programs in the Navy. No matter what community or rating you're in, there's cool opportunities out there for everybody. And I just saw one, and it worked out. And I encourage everybody to kind of keep their head on a swivel and look for opportunities. And what makes the world great is you can go through doors when they open.
Yes, sir. I completely agree with that. And you know, being a Navy SEAL and then becoming a NASA astronaut, there's a huge level of success with that. So how would you define success to someone else?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I in my mind, it's not so much about the results, although results matter, but it's about the effort and the level of preparation that one puts into it. If you set out to make rate or enter college or get into a program, and you do everything that you possibly can to achieve that, if it doesn't happen, that's okay, because you did everything within your control. So in my mind, success is sort of assessing what's in front of you, tackling all the challenges that you can control, mitigating the risks of things that you can't control, and then just the process will be what it is. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't be disappointing if the end result isn't the same, but you can really sleep soundly if you know that you put 100% into that path.
Yes, sir, I agree with that. I tell people that it's important to know how to pivot, because if you've done everything in your power and it doesn't turn out the way you want it, it's important to be able to pivot mentally from that.
Just one final thought on that. If you think about any military operation, you know, that there's a plan that is executed until it's often said until the first contact with the enemy, and then you have what-if contingencies, and you move out from there. And the very same thing applies in life, just like you said, Austin.
So, obviously, being a Navy SEAL and a NASA astronaut, you have to stay fit.
So, being up there in space, can you give the audience a demonstration
of how you stay fit in space?
Yeah, I'm a little bit fixed in my location here with the camera, but we have 3 exercise devices: a bicycle, a treadmill, and a big weight machine. And the weight machine is much like anything that you can configure with a bar, maybe that you can imagine. However, there's a key difference. We don't have the weight to connect to the bar. So what we do is we have a giant piston in a cylinder, and we can crank this piston up and down in the cylinder to give different levels of pneumatic resistance, and that's connected with a linkage back to the bar. So that's how we do our exercises. We're mostly concentrated around legs, deadlifts, and your larger core muscles. We do some upper body, but that's less important for us because it's about bone health that we're trying to achieve, and putting load on those large muscles in your spine is the most critical thing. And then, of course, the treadmill is what you normally expect with a treadmill. The key difference there is we have to stay fixed to it, and we wear a harness, like a backpack harness, just with no backpack, and connect our hips to the floor of the treadmill, and that's how we stay fixed.
Ah, okay. So you mentioned bone health. Is it like being up there in space? You know, there's no gravity. So do you think it's healthy? It's less healthy on the bones being in space?
Oh, without a doubt. If we did no exercise, we would come back with severe bone density decay, much like a very elderly person or osteoporosis patient. And our bones would be very brittle and fragile. And we've learned through the course of these 20 years of manned operations on the space station that as long as you're putting load on your bones will do a good job of staying healthy. And now astronauts are coming back with almost negligible bone density loss because of exercise, loaded exercise.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think a lot of people knew that. I didn't even know that.
So on the subject of staying fit and nutrition, so I know you've
had an MRE, and then there's space food. Which one's your favorite and why?
Oh, no disrespect to all my buddies that are deployed right now and chowing down on MREs, but space food is way better. Now, some of our food is like an MRE style of packaging, and some of it actually comes from MREs, but most of it is made in a food lab at the Johnson Space Center, and at our other international space agencies have a similar food processing ability. And so it's normal food. It's not like we're squirting energy goo out of a tube or anything like that. It's pretty darn tasty.
Yeah, I think when a lot of people hear space food, they think of just the kind of dry stuff that looks like a rock, or stuff that you're squirting out of a space tube. So
moving on to the next question. You've been to a lot of places,
including space. You've been to Afghanistan, you've been to the Mediterranean, and you've seen lots of the Earth and outside of the Earth. So seeing all of that, what is your favorite place that you've ever been?
Wow, that's tough to think about, but because you're right, it's been a lot of places. Much like anybody in the Navy, you get to travel, which is a nice benefit. But I would have to say it's a tie. My 2 favorite places are not on the surface of the Earth. One of them is outside of the space station on a spacewalk. Amazing. You're watching Earth below you. You've got the space station in front of you. You've got equipment, spare parts, nuts and bolts and tethers all around you, and you're out there doing a job. It's very rewarding and just super, super cool to be in your own one-person spaceship. I have had a similar feeling as submerged in the middle of the ocean in a sealed delivery vehicle, just me and my dive buddy driving from a submarine into land somewhere with, I equate that same sort of mission accomplishment, sense of pride in knowing that you're ready to do what you're doing, and you're trained and you're doing it. So below the surface of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere in a sealed delivery vehicle, and outside of the International Space Station in my spacesuit.
So I noticed you tied both of those places to the mission.
Which I like that. I think a lot of people, I was thinking for the views, but you tied it into the mission and the mission complete and the mission accomplished. I like that a lot.
So what do you recommend everyone should do once in their lives? It could be go someplace or have a certain food, or it could be anything.
Wow. Well, I think that as I've grown in life and got more mature, I realized that life is about people. and experiencing things with people, and there's nobody more important than your own family. So I would say dance with your mom or dad.
I like that a lot. It took me off guard. I'm in my feelings now
But I would definitely have to agree with you
on that. So, let's see. There are Newton's laws of motion. Which is your favorite? And is there any way for you to demonstrate it there?
Well, in space, it's really easy to kind of not only visualize but feel those laws. And one of my favorite ones is what you learn when you on your very first time in space, and that is however hard you push off is how much force you're going to need to stop. So we learn quickly that just a little bit of force is all it takes to float. And when you first arrive, you really don't understand that, and you start flailing around, slamming into walls, crashing way harder, realizing that you could have stopped that crash by not pushing so hard, so you don't have to react to the force that you put in.
Okay. So I have written down here which STEM fields of study are most applicable in space and why.
So, yeah, I'm often asked about education related to space flight, whether it's as an astronaut or an engineer. But I think the critical thing is just that critical thinking and problem solving. That's most applicable to our life here in space, and then also pre-flight and working with the team of technicians and engineers that make it all possible. So I think that I was not an engineering undergraduate major. I realized that it would be very helpful once I became a graduate student. But what I liked about I was a math major. What I liked about that major was the problem-solving aspect later in the course of study, and then on in graduate school as an engineering major, thinking through problems and all the variables that can go into a problem. So that it really helped chisel the critical thinking piece. So I would say anything related to engineering and problem solving.
Okay. I'm not the best at math. I think I had elementary algebra in high school, but that's on a different subject. So this is a big question. It may require a little bit of thinking. So what events in your Navy career made you who you are today? Are there any major events or a bunch of little events that kind of led up to it?
Yeah, so kind of tying that back to your earlier question, and I think life is about people. Of course, I have events with entering and graduating from the Naval Academy, graduating from SEAL training, various leadership positions within the SEAL teams, and then a phone call that said, "Congratulations, Chris, you're now a member of the NASA's Astronaut Corps." A call getting called into the chief astronaut's office on my first mission and said, "Chris, you're going to be part of STS-127." All those were incredible moments. But when I think back to it, each of those is tied to mentors and people that I shared those experiences with. So boat crew mates and swim buddies and buds, Don and Mike, and at my first SEAL team, Hank and Sling. Various mentors along the way, and of course, getting to NASA is the same. Some of the very senior astronauts when I first showed up mentored me in all aspects of being an astronaut. So I've really come to appreciate the value of being a mentor and then being a mentee, and how critical it is for both of those people, and therefore critical for the organization to pass on knowledge that we've learned over the years. And that has been very true in the SEAL teams and very true at NASA.
Yes, sir. I just want to reiterate that for the audience. It's, the people in your life, you may not see it now, but they're the most important. They teach you leadership, and people that you experience along the way, you may not realize it yet, but your family and the ones you meet and the ones that mentor you are the most important part of life.
So,
being at the space station, what's the best way that you like to start your day?
Oh, wow. So there's a schedule that gets put up that other people make, and our job is to execute it. sometimes I fully agree with it, and sometimes I put some tweaks in there. My preference is to start the day with exercise, and in a way, get it out of the way. I don't like saying that because I enjoy exercise, but it's also nice to have it accomplished, have it done, and then you move on. And back on Earth, when there's nobody holding my feet to a schedule, it's just nice to know that that's the first priority and it's done. If I'm not able to do that, I personally am most productive in the morning. So I just like to start getting my jobs done, and then while I'm here, take advantage of the window, because the window is looking down at Earth from 250 miles above is something that in 2 months, I come home October 22nd, in 2 months I won't be able to do. So every morning while I'm brushing my teeth or just kind of getting ready, reading the look ahead for the work, there's always a trip to the window.
Got you. Okay. So kind of to summarize this whole thing with risk, obviously in the Navy we have something called operational risk management, but being through everything that you have been through, how do you approach risk?
Well, my approach to risk has really developed through these years in both communities, SEALs and NASA, and fortunately for me, it's the same. You know, and that's kind of tied to Austen, what you were saying about the mission. There's a mission, and there's a goal to get that mission done, and there's risk involved in conquering the mission. And it's our job as operators and as a team of folks putting the plan together is to mitigate that risk with the things that you can control. And most things you can control, the most important thing you control is your own preparation and thinking through the what ifs. At some point in time, there's a place where there still exists risk, but you can no longer do anything about it, and you just have to step off the cliff and go. And ultimately, NASA's goal is to get to Mars, and we will get there. But there's going to be significant risk in that those first couple crews. In fact, every crew that goes to Mars, there's going to be risk acceptance, and that's just what we have to do. Just like if you're in the military, if you're going for a very high-level national objective, maybe you take a little bit higher risk than if it's just a training mission off the coast of San Diego or something like that, where you can come back tomorrow and do it when the weather's good. So risk management is all about controlling the things you can control, knowing when you can throttle back and not take that risk, and knowing when you must.
Yes, sir, I agree with that. I think there's never a way to completely mitigate danger, but the most effective way to deal with it is preparing and managing your risks. So you mentioned Mars. Do you think, I know it's definitely a possibility and it will happen in the future. Do you think anytime soon, maybe in the next 20 or 30 years, humans will inhabit Mars?
Absolutely, I do, yeah. We are putting all those pieces in place as we speak. Because of the last year, our country has some tough financial times ahead of it, so it'll be the speed at which we get there is going to be proportionate to how we do as a country with our budget and how much money we can allocate to exploring beyond low Earth orbit and getting to Mars. But there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to happen, and when, I don't know. It's not up to me. It's up to the agency and how we get funded. But well, we understand how to do that. We have the technology to do that. We're putting in place the mechanisms to acquire that technology and build the equipment to do it. And we have astronauts who are willing to go.
That is awesome. So, sir,
I really appreciate this interview today, Captain Chris Cassidy, everybody, for the audience. We look forward to you coming back to Earth on October
22nd. Be safe up there. We really appreciate what you're doing, and we appreciate your service, sir.
Thanks, I appreciate yours. And all the best to everybody watching. Go Navy.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event as we count down to 20 continuous years of humans living and working on International Space Station. Thank you.
Thank you to all participants from U.S. Navy's At the Helm station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
How'd it go? That was good, right?
If you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe and hit like. You gotta delete that one too. I gotta look good on this thing. Ready?